Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of DU Movie Reviews. This week, we are doing the highly anticipated Marvel Studios Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And joining me for this very fun review will be the Big Smooth himself, Alex. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, fresh Disney.
Fresh Disney. I forgot my little
Hops, if you will.
yeah, I forgot my little Shang Chug that we were going to do earlier. So,
Yes. I forgot
but
about that too. We'll do that later this week.
yeah, absolutely. But thanks for joining me for this fun review. We saw the movie earlier today,
Yeah.
and you know what? Before we get into it, I was going to say let's just get into it. But before we get into it, if you haven't seen the movie yet, this is going to be a spoiler-filled review. And if you like what we're doing, be sure to subscribe down and hit that like button. And it helps us build up our YouTube channel as we're building up this whole podcast / YouTube / streaming project. So just adds to the fun. But definitely, and if you like what we're doing, also share our some of our videos. I recently posted a video of an unboxing for my D23 2021 member gift, and it was a very lovely gift. And you got one too, also, did you? Did you
I
not?
did, and we just said today we have our next quarterly magazine on the way. Looking very much forward to that. I should grab in the other room. They have those at the check stand when you're checking out at the supermarket. They got the magazines, and they have those kind of quarterly special thick, $12, $15 ones. And Life magazine did for the anniversary of Disney World. I guess Disney World 50th anniversary, although it covers all Disney parks.
Yeah.
On Disneyland at the front. And those are always cool because Life magazine was around back then, so they have so much archival photos from when these things actually took place. I got another good one, back onto the Marvel tip. It was from Entertainment Weekly, and it was right when Endgame came out. And that was cool because, Entertainment Weekly had covered all these movies as they were coming out. So they had actually pulled excerpts from the interviews and articles with the actors and actresses as it was going. It had a lot of fun tidbits that I learned from those. So,
Very cool.
Always a sucker for good Disney Universe placement at the supermarket checkout stand.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of Marvel, like mentioned, we're talking about Shang-Chi, and so we started the year with pretty heavy hitting Disney Plus shows where WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki, and right now What If. But right now we are finally into the second of the films, Phase 4. We started with Black Widow just a few months ago, and now we're on to number 2 and quickly on to number 3. So let's just, like I said, let's just get right into it. And first, before we kind of break it up and whatever sequences, actors, whatever, what were your first initial thoughts of this movie as you're watching it and as we were walking out?
Going in, this is coming after a time of 18 months where the movies we're seeing now, it's not like normal where we waited, we heard about the movie coming out, they made it, they go in post-production and they start promoting it. We had all that hype like 2.5 to 4 years ago for these movies. So these movies are a little more anticipated. I tried to stay away from the spoilers on the internet and seeing too much from trailers. But I was excited. The early reviews, I don't read the reviews. I just read the clickbait of the article that says whether the reviews are good or bad. I'll let somebody else read the reviews. I'm interested what the general pulse is, but overall, I just want to see it myself.
Yeah.
And I was not disappointed. I was stoked going into it, for this to be a Marvel superhero movie that's centered around, Chinese heritage and culture and Chinese actors and actresses and stuff. I thought that was really cool. I know for me, Black Panther was a big deal. Seeing, a Marvel superhero movie that's centered around Black characters, and seeing that, making the movie, they tried to immerse in that, and not just the actors on screen, but behind the camera as well. And I thought they did a really good job with this movie. It was action packed, great fight scenes, as you can
Yeah.
imagine, with the martial arts. Michelle Yeoh, who it's crazy. I remember the name from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon all those years ago, which doesn't seem like that long ago.
Yeah.
Remembering, as Addie reminded me when we come out, that she was the mother in Crazy Rich Asians.
That's right. Yeah.
And now this, so she's got a good rapport. She was the aunt in the movie, but yeah,
Another great role.
it was a great movie. When I'm coming out of these Marvel movies right now, and I guess it's getting back to what I was saying about how long we've been waiting for the movies, I can't say I feel disappointed. I just feel that I'm ready for more, and they're giving it to us with the Marvel TV,
Yeah.
and our post credits teasers. But it was just when I was watching it, I felt it could have been longer.
Sure. Sure.
It was a great origin, great action, and I wanted to see the story continue.
Agreed, and I'm sure we will. Going before I get to mine, going back to Michelle Yeoh, we were talking about on the way out. Also, she had a small role, another multi Marvel role.
Yeah.
She was in the ending credits of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. She was one of the original Guardians with Sylvester Stallone, Ving Rhames' character.
Yes.
And so yeah, so as small as the role that was, I mean, it's kind of cool that we're getting these older school aged actors excited to get into Marvel roles, even if it's a small little part. But yeah, she had a great part in Shang-Chi.
Yeah, they need to have like a special Hall of Marvel for both the two-time MCUers and then the two-time Marvel actors in general, because of course Chris Evans and Michael B. Jordan got to get their flowers too.
Yeah,
the movie wasn't great. I can't say I remember the Fantastic Fours.
Yeah, I just remember the ones with like Jessica Alba and
so that was the one iteration before that. Okay, well,
and they weren't bad. They were entertaining, but they're not our current Marvel standards right now. But yeah, but I guess just go to my initial reaction. This was a character that I knew of, but not really too familiar with. So this was to me kind of similar of going into like Guardians of the Galaxy, where I knew Star-Lord, I knew Drax, I knew Rocket, but I wasn't too familiar with them. And just going to the theater just to enjoy it. And Guardians to me is just both of them are just fun movies. They're my favorite Marvel movies. Not the best ones. I'll say that they're not the best Marvel, but to me they're my favorites. And so going into Shang-Chi, not knowing too much about it, I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was the casting was I think perfect for each character. The only thing I knew about the 10 rings was the little bit we found out from Iron Man, which it does dig into some of the earlier Iron Man lore, which was really cool. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But no, like you said, the action was top notch. The story was your typical hero's journey story, but it with a different take. The effects I would like, that we get to like in the climax of the movie were really cool. And I think the comedy was well placed too, because that's one thing Marvel does is like they're funny movies, but they're not comedies, but they're funny in the right spots. So when you get an actress like Awkwafina who's super funny, and even my mom, like after the movie, she's like, because she likes her, because she loves Crazy Rich Asians, and so that's how she knows Awkwafina. She's like, oh, how was she? I'm like, well, if you like her, you'll like her. If you don't like her, then you won't really care for her. I personally, I really like Awkwafina a lot, so her character is really, really enjoyable, along with Sean, as his name was in the beginning, and everybody else. But no, I really like this movie. It's something. I mean, we were talking about seeing it again so quickly after we saw it, so just enjoyable. It's a nice, fresh story that something new. That we've gotten from Marvel, which Phase 4. It's nice that we're finally getting, not finally, but that we are getting newer characters to enjoy the future of where they're going to be. So
it's the one they don't give us premiere access is the one I would have paid for, because I definitely could see myself watching this movie multiple times over the next couple months.
Yeah, and from what I know, about the Premier Access is that that thing's kind of done now. It was ended with Jungle Cruise, but well, yeah, and I'm the same way. I probably could have enjoyed that, but uh, I'm happy that the box office. Anyways, but yeah. I totally agree with you. I mean, this is definitely a multi watcher right
Oh
off
yeah,
the
no, I
bat.
mean I'll go back. I'm not mad at that. But yes, I enjoyed what you were saying. Aquafina, you kind of we're touching on if you like her, you'll like it, and if you don't like her, you probably won't like it. But I also don't think that her character was too overbearing on the story. Uh,
Yeah,
I kind of worry that they go overboard with the comedy. And then there was actually another character, as Addie was pointing out, who kind of stepped in for the comic relief in the second half of the movie, as Katie's character arc kind of took more of a build. And I
yeah.
guess we need to look into the comics because I don't know if Katie. I would doubt that Katie was a comic character, but I mean, as we get to the end of what we saw here, we do see that we will probably see Katie again.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's just jump into it. Ben Kingsley returns as Terrence, the original, what we thought was the Mandarin in Iron Man 3, which turned out to be just an actor. And
Orange.
yeah, that was hilarious. And I know we're talking about after, and we're talking about how sometimes his character was a little bit over the top. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. Because when we find out in the movie that he's an actor, because I remember when he was cast originally as the Mandarin, uh, a lot of comic fans were really mad because he's like he has nothing to do with the Mandarin. Then, if you remember the Marvel one shot shorts that were out during the first phase of the Blu-rays when those were released, they did a one where he was in prison, and it was kind of like his ongoing story.
All
And
hail the king.
yeah, but is
And,
that
and, and that's what I was just going to. They put it on Disney Plus last week.
oh,
And
did
I
they?
had not seen it, but I saw that it was from 2014.
Yeah,
I was kind of torn between do I watch it? You see the 10 rings, and I kind of assumed that it was going to be him. And I'll admit, I did happen by something on the internet that mentioned his character being in the movie, which bummed me out because that's a really cool surprise if you didn't see it coming.
yeah,
Although the writing's kind of on the wall there.
and real quick, the one shots are now on Disney Plus.
Not all of them. That's the thing. They just released this one before the movie. And if
Okay,
you remember it, I just watched it before earlier this week, and it kind of leads to where we find him.
exactly. Because I was wondering what happened because, like I said, these one shots are actually canon in the MCU, along with how What If, even though it's animated, it's canon. And but like yeah, so quick little thing, his character is in prison, and he's like a celebrity. Everybody's loved, and they're like, do the voice. He's like, you'll never see me coming, and they're like, yeah. So then he gets interviewed. He thinks he's going to be like on a 60 Minutes type of show or something, and they're interviewing him, but it's actually the people working for the real Mandarin, which we find out is Shang's dad, because he's known by many names throughout the movie. Which I thought his character was really interesting too, because you didn't know if he was going to be like, oh, he's going to be this, uh, just this typical villain, out for power, but then he falls in love and drops his power, the one thing that he wanted. Then once the wife is killed, then he gets back to being evil again. But um, I don't know, just the pacing of that whole story was actually pretty good because it is a pretty complex when you got to go through. He's been around for 1,000 years with the rings, and
Right. Yeah.
so
Watch how you talk to me, boy.
yeah.
To the elder at the end.
And looking at your Giants shirt and headband, you guys were getting a really big kick out at the first really big action sequence, which is the bus chase, which was amazing. I mean, you guys are pointing out certain areas, you and Addie, but
bars that we drank at it actually is a point where the one California bus, it is a Muni bus in San Francisco. I believe it was SFT for like SF Transit or something. They didn't get to use the Muni logo, but they made sure that it said one California because that is a bus that goes right through the middle of Chinatown in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And that is our first big action scene in the movie. We get this awesome fight on on the bus with the man with the razor blade arm. I forget what it said his name was on the side of the car.
Razor Fist.
Razor Fist. Okay. But yeah, there was a point passed by a tunnel top, a bar that is up the street from the French restaurant Cafe de la Presse that I used to work at. Shout out Cafe de la Presse. Go have the buffet, steak frites. Very awesome. There is a point where you see the bus running away down Bush Street just past where I used to work for so many years. So it's fun for any locals on the West Coast, especially to San Francisco. If you know some of those streets they're going through, that was awesome. And shout out to the Giants for beating the Dodgers today.
Heyo. No, that was a great scene because that's where we actually find out exactly how talented in the martial arts that he is, because we hear a story from him in high school getting picked on, and Katie's the one that intervened and kind of saved his neck in that by singing, what was it, Hotel California,
right,
as a which was pretty
to the extent that because as we later find out through the movie, he had been trained so much to that point. So I guess we're learning, after the fact, that he had not pulled out those skills in front of anybody up until this point in his life, almost 10 or 12 years later. I guess he's about 25 at this point. So yeah, that is where the story really takes off with his background and who's hunting him on this bus.
Yeah, because they were after his pennant that his mom gave him as a child, saying this will bring you home. One thing that I was really thinking, because we find out that he was literally trained by his father to be an assassin, and so I was getting this gut feeling because he mentioned that he couldn't go through. That we find out at one time he couldn't go through it, and so at that time, I don't know why, but I had a feeling that for whatever reason he was supposed to assassinate maybe a younger Tony Stark. And that's what I was just thinking. But then we find out later on that, well, it was a lie, that he did.
He did go through with it.
He did, yeah. And that haunted him his whole life. So, and not just that, but that
has red in his ledger.
Yes, exactly. So, no. So, I mean, I thought, like I said, the story kept going where I thought that would have been an easy, like, Bucky killed Tony's parents. That's kind of like how everything comes full circle. But we didn't really get any full circle till we get to where do they go? The city where he's looking for his sister, and then we get a lot of little Easter eggs here. We get we were in an underground fighting rink here where he's looking for his sister, and one of the first things first people we see fighting is one of what I didn't see it, so I was looking at the person she was fighting, but one of the Black Widows fighting one of the, if you remember from Iron Man 3, when they glow up the army, the military.
Yes.
So they were fighting. Then we got a good view of what we've seen in the previews, Abomination fighting Wong. But then we find out Wong is actually training him how to fight. And so those were some of the big, real first Easter eggs, Marvel Easter eggs that we got.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be Madripoor as well. But
yeah, exactly.
Just what we knew from the trailers, that there was fights going on. Abomination was there, Wong was there. So I was looking to see this city that it went, but yeah, the plot on Wikipedia is very long. And
yeah, but then he gets reunited with his sister, and she kicks his butt. we find out. Well, he doesn't want to fight her anyways, but she still kind of takes lead. But we find out that she didn't send the postcard, and then all hell breaks loose.
Basically, the power broker in this city where she ran away to, and was doing just fine on her own, and all breaks loose, which led us to my favorite fight scene of the movie.
Yes,
that was an awesome sequence, and that was the first time for me the soundtrack really came into play. I mentioned when we were watching it, it gave me the Black Panther vibes that they managed to work not just into the soundtrack, but into the score, sort of cultural Chinese type of music, along with also, contemporary kind of young urban dancey beats, which I think are appropriate for current times in those places as well. but yeah, they are escaping this place where the 10 rings were converging to grab the sister and her stone. And Katie and Shang-Chi, or Sean, he had just revealed it wasn't Sean, which was another funny moment in the movie.
Yeah.
But they're escaping, and ensues this awesome fight going down the side of the building on bamboo scaffolding outside of this skyscraper. They were jumping and swinging with these electrified kind of grapple hook stabber knife things. It was, and so there were a lot of cool moments in that. And they finally end up finding out Shang-Chi's father shows up with another fighter. I don't know if I'll catch the name because he wore a mask in the movie, so I wouldn't recognize him in the IMDb here.
But it was the main one that trained him.
Correct, the person who trained him, and he was seeing flashbacks to his training and stuff when he first engaged him. So they get captured or cease fighting, whatever it is, and go home, as father says. With the family.
Yeah, no, I dug that really too, because I've seen when I was working in construction and HVAC, and we always had some really shady scaffolding we used to have to climb up. And one of my foremen's like, "Oh, you got to see what they do over here." And he pulled up like I think it was China or Hong Kong, but the scaffolding you see, and it really is bamboo like that. And it's crazy how you see them build it. So seeing a fight scene on bamboo scaffolding, I mean, that was so cool. And
Well,
just
it's wild. It grows that tall, right? Like,
yeah,
stories high.
Yeah,
later in the movie as well.
And it's just tied together like they showed, and so that was really cool. But yeah, just the choreography of that fight, just going the different levels, the way he was kicking the boards, and using people as boards and stuff.
Using everything to your advantage, or just to get through the crazy stunt with Katie hanging off the building.
Yeah, and so like I said, this was the second really big action sequence, but going back to the bus one, they were both kind of like new and fresh action scenes that I don't say we haven't seen before, but just kind of like just fresh action, not your typical what you see every other, action movie or something.
Well, and at this point, we had already kind of been primed for that there was going to be big fights too, because they had just fought in the ring. We saw the big awesome scene in the bus. And then I think in between, we got a lot of flashback of the training sequences with both him and his sister when they were younger to kind of bring us up to speed with how they were meeting in the arena there fighting each other.
And it kind of sticking with a fighting aspect, I really love the fight scene with the father and the mother when they first met.
Yes.
When she's guarding, was it Taoli, their city, the hidden city, basically.
Yes.
And so he was super confident because he's been around for 1,000 years, conquering and getting whatever he wants. And Talao, yeah. And it was just so. I mean, you could tell she's playing with him, but then he's digging it that she's kicking his ass throughout this fight scene.
We definitely had a moment there, because the beginning of the movie shows you that he had basically run the world without opposition for thousands of years to that point. And he meets this girl thinking that he's just going to run through her. And I don't think he thought for a moment of, being into her or whatever. And then the second she appears to be a match, we both are like, oh, he's in love.
Yeah.
I was actually going to be bummed out if that wasn't the case.
Exactly. So that was such a great scene on just seeing how then, we find out that, she gives up her people, her village, but then he also gives up his rings, his source of power. So, so the way they timed the storyline with the throwbacks and memories and stuff was really cool because you never really knew what was kind of happening. You could see where they were going, but you weren't really sure because I didn't realize he gave up his rings too.
It was almost like it could have been a series with a lot more fleshed out backstory. It almost felt like they were giving us two movies in one,
Yeah.
Going all this backstory, and it cut back and forth, not to the extent that it was really confusing, but to the extent that you were like getting like the pre history and then the current history, and then all right, we're all here together. We're all on the same page.
Yeah, because I didn't think I knew we were going to get like a really urban era movie. We see San Francisco, we see China, big city in China, but I had no idea. And this is a cool thing about really not knowing much about the character, or knowing, not looking in, enjoying the movie without looking it up. But I didn't realize there's going to be so much like fantasy, and the whole like second half, the whole final what I forget what the term like Lucasfilm uses, but the like anyways, but the whole like final action sequence and whole we're in the village where the father, and I'm not calling him by his name because I really don't want to butcher any names here at all, but where he thinks that the spirit of his wife is calling to him, so he wants to release her. And so that's how we get to where this village is, where we find out that there's these bat creatures and a giant dragon that was trying to conquer the world, but they, with the help of their magic ish era and
dragon magic, they were using
dragon
scales,
which that was awesome, the way their weapons looked.
Yeah.
And that lion, look at those lion, and those look like the statues we always see,
Yeah, the lions that you see in the Chinese New Year dance with the firecrackers.
Yeah.
So I when you were talking about it, I was kind of tangenting because I saw an article. I guess some people on Twitter actually thought that those mythical creatures were Pokemon. Like,
oh, really?
Like there was a Pokemon crossover or something.
Crazy. No,
although I could see how some of the Pokemon may have been derived and inspired from these mythical creatures that exist in Chinese history.
So going back to the creatures, Morris, is he the new Baby Yoda, Baby Groot, or?
It's the only character that doesn't have a face only a mother could love.
Exactly.
No face, Morris.
I enjoyed that more. I mean, at first I'm like, oh, that's weird, but then every time he kept showing up on screen, especially with Ben Kingsley, I'm like, I just kept loving that everything. I'm here for everything Morris and Terrence.
It was fun. I mean, his character was fun. What I was saying to Addie about it after, Terrence, right, the actor from England, he was humorous, but I didn't feel it really added much to move the plot. Like if they pulled him out of there, it wouldn't have changed much. Same goes with Morris. Although for a mythical being with no face, Morris was very cute and fun. The fact that Terrence could talk to Morris, which is kind of wild. I don't understand how that worked quite yet, but I'm just going with it.
Yeah, and Morris kind of reminded me in a way, even with the wings, but of the dog foot stand on Beauty and the Beast for some reason.
He reminded me of there's like a platypus type character in Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, dang it. The one that always would take like gold and money and stuff.
Yes, that thing.
Yes.
That's what he reminded me of. No, he didn't have wings, but he was kind of furry. And
so one thing I want to bring up real quick is one thing I love about Marvel is their diversity in directors, and they got this. So this movie was directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. I don't want to call him a cretin, but he seems to be a new director. Not new, but he's the only thing that I see that he's done is Just Mercy with Michael B. Jordan and Glass Castle. I can't tell who's in that, but that was a 2017. But I know Just Mercy was a courtroom drama with Michael B. Jordan. I haven't seen it yet. It looked really good, but it's cool that they're getting these. I don't want to say like indie directors, but a lot of these directors like this guy and even like Ryan Coogler, who's doing a lot of like kind of like indie style movies, make these big jump into these big Marvel action, movies, and that's super cool. I mean, I really dig that. So he did a great job. If this is his first real major role, directing project.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, especially to make the jump like that, with all the special effects and stuff. I mean, I've never directed anything, but I think it would be a whole new ball game from going from, like you said, a courtroom drama to something of the scale of a Marvel or MCU movie,
Yeah.
and such a groundbreaking one as Shang-Chi as well.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I don't know really where else to go, but the ending, the whole like epic battle was so amazing and beautiful with a dragon, and even
Yeah,
when
I
he was
didn't expect that. I guess I would file that under things that didn't get spoiled in the trailer for me.
yeah exactly, and just how he gets the rings too, you know, just the way, I mean, he's able to control him. He gets the 5 when he's fighting his father at first,
I
then gets
wasn't
him.
expecting his redemption either.
Yeah,
I expected him to just go and I mean, he does end up dying due to his hubris. Everyone else telling him like, "Yo, she's not in there. Don't keep trying for this." Even though he had for that time when he met her, his wife, and had children, put aside the power and the rings and everything.
yeah,
I was thinking going into it, he was just going to go all the way and then die. But there was that quick moment before where he's like,
yeah, and it was done beautifully before he relinquished the rings to Shang. He just his, they say you see your life pass before your eyes, but when that was happening, it was every level of Sean as a, from his child to a, teenager to, I mean, like, oh man, they really tugged on the heartstrings on that one.
now that I think of it, it was a very quick, half-assed redemption for him.
Yeah.
Just before that is the scene where they're fighting because Sean goes into it, and he's talking the night before the battle with Katie, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to kill my father. It is what it is." And you see the tear in his eyes. He comes to terms with that. And I guess similarly, when push comes to shove and they're faced with each other, you see kind of a tear in the father's eye when he realizes that he's gonna have to as well go through Shang-Chi, and he shoots him with the 10 rings into that little lake or body of water. At which point we don't see him, and I believe he would assume that he had killed his son. So that's kind of a tough moment for him. But I mean, after that, I'm like, yep. If he's going that far, there's no redemption for you at this point.
Yeah, definitely best father-son fight since Return of the Jedi. But no, I really like that. There's, I know we were talking about Black Widow, and it's a totally different type of movie, a different timing. But like, I as much as I enjoyed Black Widow, I just felt there's no threat in that movie because we know, what happens there later. But we find, I mean, this one had a legitimate threat. Where another threat where the world depended on the,
yes,
not just one man, but like the group, a whole village of people, and even the 10 rings. The way that I love the way when she's like, "We got to fight together." No, we're not going to fight together, and then the dragons come out like, "Okay, let's fight together."
And of course, the other big thing that Black Widow lacked is it moved the MCU story forward.
Yeah,
and I guess I didn't realize how huge it was going to be to not have that in Black Widow. As much as I enjoyed Black Widow, I think we could all say, it might as well have been on Disney Plus. They could have given it to us like Soul.
Yeah,
give it to us for free on Christmas.
So, I mean, that's pretty. I don't want to say that's it for like the movie, unless you have anything you want to bring up before we get to the after credit scenes.
Did you have a favorite line? There were two quotes that we really liked. Addie had said one was the point where the elder woman who was with Katie, as she's taking up archery, to kind of help with the cause in the upcoming battle, and she says something about aim. It doesn't matter where you aim as long as you aim for something.
Yeah, she's yeah. It was pretty much that. It's like you never miss which is something to the fact of you don't miss what you aim for if you're not aiming for something or some
You can't hit you can't hit anything if you're not aiming for something.
something to that extent. But no, I that one really stuck out to me too because I was like,
And
oh, that's good because when we're fighting out with Katie, she's and then well, both her and Shang are kind of underachievers in their friends and her family's eyes.
But as we
And
know, Shang had a reason. He was kind of
yeah,
hiding out, you know.
yeah,
She had no reason. And it's almost like it was perfect and serendipitous for them to meet because here Shang was, a kid escaping being trained as a mercenary for his father. And here she was, just kind of wanting to, she went through school. They said she had the bachelor's from Berkeley and everything. But she was just kind of trying to have fun. They had that moment, they're like, we work early in the morning. We should go home, but
or karaoke. No,
karaoke.
yeah.
But
I did love that quote. I would like to get that somewhere. Get the correct one because I
but
know I.
the one that I really liked, which I believe I remember correctly, was the other elder with the army in the land they were protecting. And he says, as they, prepare for the fight with the 10 rings, or no, not with the 10 rings, with the soul sucking monsters who are coming at
Yeah,
them, he says, aim high, shoot to win or die. Shoot to win or shoot to die.
yeah.
And I like that one. I believe that will be my Hail Mary quote for the football season.
Nice. No, yeah, that was a great. That everything about that whole climax, I thought was just top notch. It was what we'd come to expect
And
from
what a
Marvel
missed
films.
opportunity to have them there. I mean, I guess we could presume that some of those guys might have been in the battle in Endgame in one of like the far off portals, because there was a
Yeah,
lot of people coming through those portals that we didn't know. But they definitely had, because they were there protecting this wild soul sucking monster.
yeah. Um, and one thing I did like too was which is to me is the key of the movie was uh Shang and Katie's relationship and just the chemistry of the two actors, but these characters that were it reminded me a lot of like for Star Wars Rebels fans like a Sabine and Ezra that they cared for each other, but it didn't need to be romantic. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we're a lot of movies we get like, oh, you're my best friend, I love you and stuff, but it wasn't like there was to me. I didn't feel like there was romance or that it needed to be, but their love and friendship was so special and it showed. I mean, it was a great part of the movie, even the part where before the battle they're just kind of like in a meadow or something. She just puts her head on his shoulder like a friend would do.
Right.
Not has nothing to do with romance or anything like that. It's just straight friendship, love. And I think we need more of that in movies just because it shows that guys and girls could be friends. It doesn't have to be romance. You know what I mean? I don't know, but
Well,
I
this
just
brings me back to my disdain. My biggest gripe with the Rise of Skywalker was the kiss of Reylo.
yeah.
People,
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be a sister. It doesn't have to be a lover. You can love your friend. You can want to go to the end of the earth to help your friend. You could want to risk your life to
yeah,
save your friend, and that's what this relationship was.
yeah, and I love it, and I can't wait to see
At
more of it
least I
because
hope. I hope they
yes,
keep it that way.
yes, because perfect segue into the after credit scenes at the end of before we talk about the two of them. There is two. There's a mid and a final, but at the end of the final, it doesn't say
Roll
like
that ticker again. Roll that ticker.
wait. It doesn't say like in the past Marvel movies, like Spider-Man will return, Shang-Chi will return. It said the 10 rings will return.
Ah.
But going to the first stinger, the first mid-credit scene, which it's finally nice, what 20 something movies in, people are finally staying for the credits in the Marvel movie.
I
But we
know.
get a very, very cool
I
one.
do think some people left after the first one.
I think
Those
so,
people
but
who don't get it.
they don't understand. But we got a great um well, you brought up a good point before we get to the stinger that it looked like the final scene of the movie felt like an extra credit scene or extra end of credit scene
It did, yeah.
where they go back to their friends that they're having dinner with, telling them the entire story of what's happening.
Which was a cool juxtaposition because you have basically this is a carbon copy of a scene from earlier in the movie where Sean or Shang and Katie are telling the story of how they met, and how it included the girlfriend of the couple that they were hanging out with, and how that was such a wild story for them at the time. And then, as you were saying, they're telling the story of everything they had just been through, and
which is unbelievable if you hear it. And then, the friend's like, okay, you guys are mocking me. Then all of a sudden we see the behind them, and out comes Wong. It's funny because he comes out like a waiter or, somebody that when you're going out to restaurants, like, Shang-Chi, is there a Shang-Chi? I'm Sean.
I wanted to see like Mo from
The Simpsons.
Is there a Shang-Chi here? Shang-Chi.
But so of course then they go into Wong, and Katie being Katie's like, all right, I'll call you later, and they walk through the portal, and that's the end of the movie.
And everyone in the restaurant is dumbfounded because they see this portal coming.
Yeah.
Although it seems that there's some sort of understanding of who Wong is. I felt that there was, I don't know if it was at that point or in the post-credit scene where he's kind of, it was almost like they were like, yeah, we're happy to be here with you. We know who you are,
Yeah. I think everybody knows in this point that he's pretty much like Doctor Strange's right-hand man, who seems from what we get even in the new Spider-Man trailer, that he seems to be the one that's more knowing than Doctor Strange. But that's
continuing of this the known celebrity. It's almost like they're breaking the fourth wall within the movie.
Yeah.
How we would react in the world if this was going on, and these people had saved us from aliens, or brought back our loved ones from a stab, and how we would react to these people if we saw them in the street.
Yeah, exactly.
That was interesting, and it will be interesting as Phase 4 continues.
Yeah, absolutely. But so we get to after the little mid credits where we're getting all the actors and everything. We go into a room and we see the ring spinning. And then we see Wong
but it's a projection of the rings, right?
No, I think it's actually the actual
rings are spinning, and then there's a projection where they're like zooming in.
Yeah,
that Stark tech.
Exactly, and so they're trying to figure out where the rings are coming from. So he's talking to Shang and Katie, and he's like, "Oh, my dad's had for 1,000 years." Then we get a pan over, and we get a non-Hulk Bruce Banner.
Yes, with his arm in the sling,
still in a sling. And a
damage from the snap. I mean, cut it off already, man. We've seen so many other cool technological advancements, from Winter Soldier to Ulysses Claw to most recently Razor Fist.
Exactly. So, I mean, he's got to go back to Wakanda to get him some Hulk. Anyway, so we see Bruce Banner and Captain Marvel, and they're trying to figure out, they find out it's not vibranium. Or it's not, they're bringing out, the Kree and different aliens that they know of. And so this, whatever has brought the rings to Earth is a alien or, a mystery, a metal. And was there somebody else, or was it just the two of them?
Captain Marvel, you said?
Yeah.
Carol Danvers and Bruce Banner. I think you just
That's
said
right.
I don't know if you said Captain Marvel.
Yeah. So I couldn't remember if there's.
You were talking about the Kree. So yeah, it's the two of them with Wong, and then Katie and Shang, and they're basically trying to figure out where the 10 rings came from.
Yeah,
and you're saying they asked how long his father had it, and he said over 1,000 years. And then Carol Danvers gets a call. Right?
Yeah, she gets a call and takes off, and she's like, "Give it, he'll beat me or something." He's like, "I don't got her number." Bruce Banner.
Give me my number.
Yeah, but we find out that because one thing that a big thing we didn't bring up in the movie is as long as Shang's father had the rings, they were kind of like a purplish blue. But once Shang got them, because he's 50-50, his mother and father, which is obviously we find out something a little extra special, little extra sauce. once they turned orange, they kind of are having like a beacon, like they're calling out to somebody, and that's what they're trying to figure out. And that
Oh,
happened
that's
right
right. It
before.
hadn't happened to that point.
Yeah, so that we find that out right before Carol takes off, and so that's the end of that scene. Like kind of the mystery of who are they calling off to? What is
Right.
this metal? And I think we're both hoping, or we're both in the theory of this might tie into the Eternals, may possibly.
Yes, but that wasn't the end of that scene.
Exactly. Go ahead.
After Carol leaves and Bruce doesn't have her phone number, Wong kind of is like, well, get ready for your life to be nothing like it ever. Basically, in less words, they said, welcome to the Avengers, or to whoever the hell is left here to defend the universe from what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's kind of in a similar vein to a scene from earlier in the movie. It was like, oh, I think it's Shang and Katie are like, well, all this had gone on. We better go home and get some rest.
Karaoke time.
It cuts to Katie, Shang, and Wong all out at the karaoke bar singing.
Yes.
Which was a great end to that stinger, because we get both, movement of Phase 4 plot, or at least, kind of a tease to it, and a great laugh at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And before we go to the final stinger that happened at the very end of the credits, I forgot one of the funniest parts of the movie to me. Happening at the most action packed is the bus chase. Was the guy streaming the fight?
Oh, yes,
dude.
I don't know if he was like a character that had popped up in Ant-Man or something. It felt like that was like an ancillary character from an earlier movie. I'll have to go back and watch, or if any of you guys remember if this guy was in an earlier MCU, please let us know.
Yeah, I don't think he was, but he gave me that vibe of the Spider-Man Homecoming when Spider-Man's going around the town and he's hanging on the corner. He's like, "Hey, are you Spider-Man from YouTube? Do a backflip." So I know it's a totally different guy. I mean, it's in New York, but he had that vibe to it. But just, I mean, going, how we do, everything on podcasts. He's like, "Oh, let's go live. Let's do this. Let's, fresh hops." So how quick he was, like, "Yeah, I'm on the bus, blah, 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 and this is happening." And just his comedy timing, well, how it was awesome. So I love that.
Most of his time on screen. I'm actually going to scroll IMDb, see if we can find out who he is.
Yes, but then as you're looking for that, we do get the final bonus scene, and it's you see what was
Zach Cherry as Clev.
What was that? Go ahead.
The actor's name is Zach Cherry, and he plays Clev.
Nice. I'm totally for seeing more of him.
I hope so. Quantumania, we will be back in San Francisco. That Marvel, if you're listening, bring Zach Cherry back for Quantumania or any time the MCU dips through San Francisco. We'd love to see this guy again, especially if we can get him to run into Michael Pena's character or something. That would be a fun.
That would be perfection. Yeah. But I don't know. Do you want to kind of lay the groundwork for where we're at? Because I forget Shang's sister's name. Is it Z? She? But basically, the scene starts where she's taking away her a bunch of posters and photos off a wall. Okay, cool. And because you guys got really, I thought I felt like I missed something right away. Was there something on the wall that she was taking off that I missed? Because
So earlier in the movie, when they first get back, I don't know if we want to say abducted or just go home with Daddy after the amazing fight scene on the bamboo scaffolding. She's in the room with Katie, and Katie's kind of like, "Is your dad's really scary? Is he going to kill us?" And she makes that comment about, as long as you don't say anything, he'll forget about you. That's how I survived.
Yeah.
They were sitting in that room, which presumably was her bedroom.
Yeah.
Might have been Shang's bedroom. I was checking out. It looked like there were like kind of art or rock posters and stuff going on there.
Yeah. And kind of going back to her character, like she was in charge of that underground fighting ring. Throughout the movie, she's watching Shang and all her dad's army training. She was never allowed to train because she was a woman.
Mhm.
especially after her mother died. I mean, that's why she mentioned that. Just put your head down; you'll be ignored. So then, fast forward, we're in the village, Tao Li, Tao Li village,
Yes.
and she's seeing the warriors, and even her aunt is like, it's not like your dad's army. Everybody here, we're everybody here trains to fight. And so kind of fast forward now, because she was a big part of the fight scene at the climax. And so now where she's taking off posters, we're like, oh, what's going to happen? But then the music
What
starts
she had
kicking.
said before the climax, she makes either she or someone makes a comment that she had gone back to get rid of what was left of the 10 rings.
Yeah.
So we assume going into end credits that that's what's happening. And then, as you said, it comes up. They're taking those posters down in the room. It pans, and we see her and her very comedic accomplice from the Fight Club. Actually, earlier,
Razor Fizz. Oh,
well,
yeah.
Razorfish was there too, but I was talking about her kind of hype man, the guy that
The MC, basically.
was calling him Bus Boy when he came in.
Yeah.
Because he had to fight on the bus. But anyway, we see him and her, and basically she sits down with some people, and I think says something to the effect of "Let's get back to business," or "Let's
the music starts kicking.
Yes.
On the scene, it's
And
panning, and you're seeing just a bunch of people all over, either moving stuff. Then as it pans back, that she sits on the throne.
It definitely doesn't look like they're shutting things down.
Exactly, because they have the 10 rings spray painted behind her with, like I said, Razor Fist right next to her also.
Mm-hmm.
Then as it pans back, you see people carrying supplies. Then there's men, women, everybody training, fighting, and they're in her dad's castle, I guess.
Yeah, so they basically took it over, and as it pans out, you see
graffiti art
on the outside of the castle. So it's almost like she took it over. She brought her expertise from the Fight Club and stuff, and we could only assume is going to be using for good. We don't really know. I was expecting that was going to see our favorite Stinger scene Seinfeld alumnus, Countessa Valentina something DeFontaine, right?
Val for short. Val for short.
I was hoping we were going to see her as yet another potential recruitment for the anti-Avengers. I'm not sure what the comic book canon title for them was, but at least as we know, she's already spoke with John Walker from Falcon and Winter Soldier and Yelena from Black Widow, building a group of soldiers who don't care about the rules, maybe.
Exactly. And then that's where it goes black, and we see the 10 rings will return.
That's right.
So
in the new millennial hip-hop 10 rings, if you will.
But I enjoyed it. I know you enjoyed it.
Co-ed, equal opportunity millennial hip-hop 10 rings.
Exactly.
It's a long name, but it deserves every bit of it.
Any final thoughts on Shang-Chi?
Go see it. Check out the soundtrack. We actually listened to that this afternoon. Very much enjoyed it. If you happen to have Spotify, they have what they call an enhanced soundtrack, which has an intro and an outro from one of the artists. I believe his name was Rich Brian. Pull it back up on here. Yeah, Rich Brian welcomes you to Shang-Chi, the enhanced album. And many, as we were listening to them, we were looking up because there are going to be some artists, if you're into kind of current hip-hop and R&B scene, some artists that you're familiar with, like Swag Lee, Anderson .Paak, Saweetie. I'm familiar with her from the McDonald's meal, but and then a lot of artists we weren't familiar with, but they all seem to have some sort of Chinese or Indonesian heritage, singers, rappers. So it was cool. It was very diverse. A lot of the beats were all pretty kind of upbeat. Like it's the kind of album I could put on while I'm driving in the daytime, right into going out to the club at night. So
nice.
And I didn't get to the score yet, but I know you probably will at some point.
Yeah, I'll probably check it out tomorrow. So, no, for me, like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. I really enjoyed the characters and everything about it. So I am so looking forward to future adventures of Shang and Katie and his sister, seeing where she's going.
Do you think
But
there's a chance we get Shang or Katie or any of them in What If before the end of the season? It would definitely be a surprise because they did, drop that whole list of actors and none of them were included in it. But as
yeah,
I found out today, I don't know what if that was IMDb you were looking on, but as far as the episode list, it said that What If is slated for 18 episodes. We have 9 coming up, and then I guess another 9 will be coming in season 2.
yeah,
So if not now, maybe coming up then.
maybe. But I like I said, we did see Shang at DCA at Avengers Campus,
That's
and
right.
I hope once this movie kind of marinates for a little bit because he's dressed in his just city clothes.
Yeah.
And so I hope he gets his outfit that he was wearing during the climax, being that he's there with all the other Avengers and they're in their
up in the Sanctum. Wouldn't that be a cool cameo?
yeah. Well, he's obviously with Wong,
Yeah.
so he's that to yeah. So I don't know if we'll see him in Spider-Man, but I'm sure we'll see him in Doctor Strange.
No, I'm seeing if we see him.
Oh, in the same. I got you. I got what you're saying.
That
Yeah.
would be a cool place to have him come out and switch that show up. Because I know at least as far as the way they've been doing the entertainment in Avengers Campus, they've kind of been, refreshing things as things become more current, both, with our actual world and with the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. Hopefully that'd be cool. But you know what? We'll find out in 2 weeks. Since hey, me and Alex are going to be. Oh, no, that way. I can't. I always get confused. Anyways, me and Alex will be at downtown Disney probably the weekend of the 18th. Maybe do some Trader Sam's in the evening. We're going to hit up some local breweries during the day, and then we will be doing the Oogie Boogie Bash on September 19th. So if you're in the area, if you're going, hit us up. We'll say, hey, what's up?
Yes, if you're going to Oogie Boogie, if you're going to be in DCA on the 19th, if you're in the area and would want to meet up and say hello and talk Shang-Chi or any sort of Disney stuff with us, we love to meet people and talk Disney. That's why I'm here.
Yes, exactly. Hey, that's what I've been doing. What I've been doing for the last 5 years, almost 100 episodes, and now on YouTube. So, thank you guys for watching. In the comments, let us know what you thought of Shang-Chi and what you expect maybe from the Eternals coming up in just 2 short months, I believe.
No, 2 long months, Joe. Remember I said we've been waiting for these movies so long. It's that's why I feel like I'm going to need to watch Shang-Chi at least like every 2 weeks for the next couple of weeks. Just to lead me to the Eternals.
I will handle that. I will be able to do that.
But
we'll
thanks for getting Hawkeye same time as Eternals, so that would be
good. And then just
No Way Home. So I know the 2 months may not be as short as I want them to be, but there will be big payoff at the holidays for the Marvel fan. So
absolutely. So thanks for joining me, Alex.
Thank you for having me on this not so short review, but I'm glad we got to do it. I've always wanted, especially since we just saw the movie today, to just kind of. I actually I stopped myself from looking at other reviews and other people's thoughts because I wanted to just say what was on my mind after the movie.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it came out great. So
and now I'm going to go read everyone else's opinion.
It's like you're wrong, you're right, cool. So all right, guys. So once again, don't forget to if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button. Just lets people know that you like what we're doing. And if you want us to review anything upcoming, let us know. And we will have our fantasy draft show going to probably be maybe not live, but we'll be doing it here on YouTube probably this Friday. So
get ready to get your fantasy whistle wet. I know all y'all fantasy football people are thick in your draft season right now. We're getting ready to fantasy draft a Disney park. So if you've been watching and listening, we talked about it on previous episodes. Go back and check last year's draft or draft results to know what we're talking about for the second annual Disney Parks draft here on DU.
Yeah, so that's coming up this Friday. So we'll talk to you in just a few short days. Have a happy Labor Day. Get some rest. Have some barbecue, whatever. If you're in
Hopefully.
California, it's still warm. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see you guys on Friday.
Stay safe, anybody who's in places that are affected by fire or hurricanes or flooding.
Yes.
World's a crazy place. Be kind to each other. We can get through it.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it better. Have a good night, guys. Thanks. Yay.